The wretched night of Krampus. The village of Garmisch, Partenkirchen, sat nestled in the shadow of the Bavarian Alps, blanketed by thick December snow. By day, it was picturesque, stone cottages with smoke curling from chimneys, the laughter of children echoing through the crisp air. But by night, a sinister presence seemed to seep into the narrow streets, wrapping the town in unease. This year, the feeling was stronger than ever. Whispers passed from one frostbitten lip to another, tales of misdeeds unpunished and dark omens ignored. Every villager knew the stories, handed down like a warning: St. Nicholas rewards the good, but Krampus comes for the wicked. The reckless boy. Tobias was a boy of 12, known throughout the village for his unruly nature. He pulled the tails of dogs, threw stones at the church windows, and stole bread from the baker's cart. While other children honored the Advent season with songs and reverence, Tobias mocked it, dragging his boots through the snow to kick down carefully built snowmen. On the morning of December 5th, his mother scolded him for the 100th time. "Behave yourself, Tobias, or Krampus will come for you tonight," she warned, her voice trembling not with anger but with fear. But Tobias only laughed. Krampus? A silly tale to frighten children. He's not real. His mother crossed herself and whispered, "You'll see. The bells and the chains." That night, the villagers gathered for the Krampuslauf, a procession through the streets where men donned fearsome masks, cracking whips and clanging bells to ward off the real Krampus. Fires burned bright in the square, casting shadows that danced like demons on the walls. Children clung to their parents, eyes wide as the costumed Krampuses roared and lunged. But Tobias stood at the edge of the square, laughing at their theatrics. "Is this your monster?" he shouted. "A drunk man in a goat mask? Pathetic." The villagers shook their heads. Some muttered prayers, others avoided his gaze altogether. Only the very foolish mocked Krampus aloud. As the revelry waned and the fires died to embers, Tobias trudged home alone. The snow muffled his footsteps, and the distant clang of bells echoed faintly in the mountains. But soon, he realized the sound wasn't fading, it was growing louder. The air grew thick, heavy with a scent of sulfur and pine. Tobias stopped, turning to look behind him. Nothing. Only the snow-covered path and the skeletal branches of the forest. He quickened his pace, but the sound followed: clang, jingle, drag. He told himself it was the wind, or perhaps the last of the revelers heading home. But deep down, he knew better. The horned shadow. When Tobias reached his door, he slammed it shut and bolted the heavy iron latch. His chest heaved with exertion, and his breath clouded in the icy air. "Nothing to fear," he muttered to himself. "Just stories." Then came the scratching. At first, it was faint, like the claws of a stray cat. But it grew louder, sharper, until it sounded like nails raking across the wood. Tobias froze, his blood running cold. A low growl rumbled from the other side of the door, followed by a deep, guttural laugh that shook the very walls. "Tobias," the voice was a rasping whisper, yet it filled the room. He backed away, his eyes darting to the shutters. Through the gaps, he saw it, a towering figure silhouetted against the snow. Its form was monstrous, with twisted, goat-like horns that curled menacingly against the moonlit sky. Its fur was matted and black as pitch, and its glowing red eyes burned like embers. In one clawed hand, it held a bundle of chains and bells, in the other, a birch rod. Tobias screamed. The reckoning. The latch snapped, and the door flew open with a deafening crack. The creature stooped to enter, its hunched frame filling the room. The stench of decay and ash filled Tobias's nostrils as Krampus loomed over him. "I've come for you, boy," it growled, its voice like stones grinding together. "Your wickedness has not gone unnoticed." Tobias fell to his knees, sobbing. "Please. I'll be good. I promise. Don't take me." But Krampus was unmoved. It raised its birch rod, striking Tobias across the back. The boy held in pain as welts rose on his skin. "These lashes are for your cruelty," Krampus hissed. The birch rod struck again and again, until Tobias's pleas were no more than broken whimpers. Then the chains came, rattling and binding his wrists. Krampus hoisted him like a sack of grain and dragged him toward the doorway. Tobias clawed at the ground, begging for mercy. "No one escapes Krampus," the creature snarled. "Your sins have earned you a place in my sack, and your screams will warm my hearth in the underworld. The village awakes. The next morning, Tobias's mother found the door to their home hanging ajar. Snow had blown inside, covering the floor in a thin layer of frost. There was no sign of her son, only the faint smell of burning pine and sulfur. The villagers knew what had happened. They whispered prayers for Tobias's soul, but none dared speak his name aloud. That night, the Krampuslauf continued, and parents held their children close, warning them to be good. Far away, in the depths of the mountains, Krampus carried his prize. Tobias's cries echoed into the frozen abyss, joining the cacophony of countless others who had been taken before him. And so the legend lived on. For every act of kindness, Saint Nicholas would reward. But for every sin, Krampus would come, with his chains, his rod, and his sack, ready to drag the wicked to their doom. Moral of the tale: Krampus is not a story to be dismissed lightly. He is the shadow of Christmas, a reminder that even in the season of joy, justice awaits those who choose cruelty over kindness. If you hear the bells and chains in the night, pray they pass you by.
Thanks so much for watching my video. I really appreciate you spending your time here with me. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, it really helps the channel grow. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more exciting content like this. I'd also love to hear from you. What did you think of today's topic? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your feedback and ideas mean the world to me and keep this channel thriving. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next video.